Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're a returning channel viewer, you may have noticed that I have not posted a video for a while. Well, a couple of reasons for that. One, I will share with you at the end of the video to get your input. And the other is my husband and I spent the whole month of January back in my home country, my beautiful island of Puerto Rico. Now that we're both retired, I wanted to try to do some slow travel where you give yourself more time in a location and try to live like a local. Being that I had never lived in my country as an adult, I figured this was my opportunity to pretend I lived there full-time, at least for a month. So I will not bother you with the play-by-play of everything we did, but I will share with you my top 20 things that we saw and experienced. You know me, always looking for new experiences. So most of what I'll share with you are things that have been on my bucket list for a while and had not had done before, and there are a few things that my husband had not done before that I wanted him to see. This is by no means an exhaustive list of all the things that there are to do in Puerto Rico, but it will cover some hidden gems and some things you may not find in other YouTube videos you see about travel to the island. So let's jump in. So let's start with number 1, Goelia Waterfalls. This is a place that has been around for a long time, but I only heard about it on my last trip to the island in 2021. You can take tours that will take you there, but the best thing to do is to rent a car and drive yourself there. They are located in the town of San Sebastián, which is about 76 miles from San Juan and about 28 miles from Rincón on the west coast. It is pretty accessible and well developed. The area has parking, it costs $10, a beautiful lagoon, and even a restaurant and bar with restrooms where you can change into your swimsuit. There are 2 waterfalls to enjoy. The first one you'll see is wider and taller, but usually more crowded. If you keep walking up the cement path about 15-20 minutes, you'll find the second waterfall, which is a little shorter, but again, a lot less crowded. The water either way is nice, cool and refreshing, great for a dip on a hot day. If you're hungry after a long day of waterfalling, I would recommend trying out the restaurant. It had a great menu with a nice variety of local food, which is pretty good. Take note too that the gate to the parking lot is open between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m., so don't go there too late. For my number 2, I'm going to talk about the T-Mobile District. It's a brand new area for me, and it's basically a large open space with an open stage, over a dozen places to eat, an urban park, and state-of-the-art technology music hall, and much more. Oftentimes, you'll find free concerts in their main arena at the center of the area. There are about 14,000 square feet of LED screens all over the atrium, even on the roof, and it has constantly changing projections and color displays. It is located pretty near the Condado area, right next to the convention center. For my number 3, I'm going to talk about festivals. One of the best ways to enjoy and learn about the local culture is to attend a local festival. Every month there is something going on in one or more of the towns around the island. You just have to check the calendar, whether there is, a chocolate festival or coffee festival, you name it. On this trip, we made sure to check out 2 of the most well-known and important festivals. The Fiesta de Reyes on January 6th in honor of the 3 kings in Juana Díaz, and the Festival de la Calle de San Sebastián in Old San Juan on the 3rd week of January. These festivals are usually pretty well attended, so be prepared for a lot of loud music, a lot of fried food, as well as vendors selling a lot of locally made handicrafts and art. If you enjoy that kind of thing, you will not be disappointed. The larger festivals, like the one in Calle San Sebastián, goes over for 4 days and has multiple stages throughout Old San Juan, so you won't be able to see it all, but you can try to see as much as you can. And of course, it's free. You'll have to bring money for food and drink, but other than that, wander around, grab a seat, and enjoy the spectacle. Another thing worth seeing, which had been on my bucket list for a long time, is a visit to the Hacienda Buena Vista in Ponce, which is a natural protected area that contains a carefully restored historic site with structures that are more than a century old, and a unique hydraulic turbine which has been used for the processing of cornmeal and then coffee. The area was rehabilitated by a local non-profit organization called Para la Naturaleza, which runs tours here in English and Spanish throughout the year. After touring the Casa Grande, we followed the canals, which were built by slaves, around the property to bring the water from the nearby Cañas River to the main hacienda. The river water would then set the large hydraulic water wheel in motion and the giant grinding milling stones for the grinding of the corn or coffee beans. According to what we were told, the Vivas family was allowed by the local government to divert the river waters into their mills, but there was one very important condition. They had to return the water back to the river and it had to be clean. So, they created a special kind of filtering device. By making the water hit the small rocks along the way, it would get oxygenated and the anaerobic bacteria would be eliminated. Another must-see if you're visiting the Ponce area is to visit the Castillo Sol, which was the home of the Serrayes family, the founders of the famous Don Cool rum from the island. You can buy your tickets, which cost around $15 online. The building is a large 4-story structure built in the 1930s in the Spanish colonial revival style. It includes 2 huge terraces, an outside fountain, and a symmetrical backyard garden. Its interior includes a luxurious hall, a spacious dining room, and an interior courtyard, which had been furnished to appear as they did in the 1930s. One of the most interesting things we learned is that the last heir of the house couldn't get any family member interested in owning it, so she ended up selling it to the city of Ponce for a very small amount. While the castle was valued at $17 to $25 million, it was purchased for a mere $400,000 and included much of the antique furniture in the sale. The Serrayes Castle is now part of a large complex that includes the Cruceta El Vigía, a Japanese garden, and a butterfly garden, which can also be visited while you're there for a separate fee. Another hidden gem is the Banos de Coamo, natural thermal springs which were once thought to be the fountain of youth Ponce de Leon had heard so much about. They have recently been refurbished and remodeled, and the cost is a mere $3.35. You can't beat that. If you're in the Coamo area, don't miss checking out this Mirador, or lookout point, that has great views of the mountains. There is also a restaurant here called Placeres del Mirador. Although technically not a hidden gem, if you're in Old San Juan, do not miss out checking out both forts, the Fuerte San Cristobal and el Fuerte San Felipe del Morro. You pay a fee of $10 and you can see both forts within a 24-hour period. Or if you're lucky like me, you go there on a free day. The hidden gem for me this time around was stumbling into these tunnels in the San Cristobal Fort. I had recently heard they were open to the public a few years back. They were previously only accessible through a special tour. So of course, I had to explore and see where they would lead me. I went in through one of the side tunnels and I found these drawings on the wall. From what I read, they were believed to be made by a captain who had been captured and thrown in this prison. He got creative while waiting for his execution and decided to draw a lot of ships. If you're in the mood for getting out of the hot sun and doing some high-end shopping, don't miss out the Mall of San Juan. It was built in 2015 by a local architecture firm, and they have done such an amazing job, both in terms of interior design, the materials chosen, and even the orientation of the building. Everything had gentle curves and wave-like patterns, and of course, in the children's area, there are sea creatures to play with. For me, the most beautiful part was this terrace and food area on the third level. It included an outdoor bar and an upscale food court inside. More hidden gems can be found in some of the smaller towns outside of the San Juan area. In this case, the town of Carolina, where the airport is located. We were pleasantly surprised at how beautiful this town is and how much care and love has been placed at keeping it that way. We also heard of its museums in the main plaza, including the Galería de los Gigantes, or Gallery of the Giants, which is dedicated to showcasing the history and legacy of 8 of Carolina's most emblematic figures.
Pasen ustedes y conozcan a los hombres y mujeres que han traído gloria y honra a esta ciudad de Carolina.
Por un breve momento y esconderte del mundo y en ti mismo esconderte.
A la que todos aspiramos y merecemos.
Another hidden gem in the old San Juan area is the Lancha de Cataño, or the Puerto Rico Ferry. It is currently the only ship service to locals and tourists in this area, and the best part about it is that it costs only 50 cents each way. It is a short ride, but a very scenic and relaxing way to enjoy the views of the fortress city. A new hidden gem for me was this little museum in Dorado called the Museo Casa del Rey. Constructed as a parador or inn about 1823 to provide housing for Spanish government personnel, it is the oldest building in the town of Dorado. There was no cost to check out this little museum, and we even got a guided tour of the interior of the rooms. It was a bit like stepping back in time to the 19th century and getting a glimpse into how people lived back then. Another hidden gem which was recently restored is the train tunnel of Oaxaca. It was constructed in 1904 and it crosses the mountain that separates Playa Oaxaca from Playa Mirador. In 2000, it was declared a historical monument and it is now one of the most visited spots in this part of the island. On weekends, starting at 9 a.m., visitors can hop on a small rideable miniature train that recreates the journey that Puerto Rico's railway made across the tunnel back in the early 1900s. During your Saturday or Sunday visit, you'll also find food kiosks, artisans selling their unique crafts, and kids can enjoy short rides in ponies or horses. We kept walking through after the tunnel and continued discovering interesting rock formations, vegetations, and more. The path took us eventually all the way down to the beach on the other side. Very close to the Oaxaca tunnel was the Mirador de Waka, a lookout point which offers some of the best ocean views found in Puerto Rico's north coast, if not the entire island. Another new hidden gem for me was the Rondel Barito Visitor Center in the town of Bayamón, which was built in 2019. Rondel Barito is the oldest Puerto Rican rum still in production. Since 1880, it has been made by the Fernandez family at Hacienda Santa Ana in Bayamón, Puerto Rico. The grounds in the area are quite beautiful, and the visitor center offers a bar, a shop, and several tours, including a tasting tour, a mixology tour, and a heritage tour. The story goes that the rum was kept in a barrel at the hacienda, and that whenever Pedro Fernandez asked his visitors if they would care for a drink, more often than not, they asked for some rum from the small barrel, or more endearingly in Spanish, ron del barrilito. So in 1880, when Pedro Fernandez decided to start selling rum, he used this phrase as the brand name. Another hidden gem you might not have thought of is to catch a movie or a show in Puerto Rico. During our visit, we were lucky enough to see a famous singer who happened to be having a world tour and coincided with our time there. The show was at a beautiful and gigantic state-of-the-art Coliseum in the area of Rey, not too far from San Juan. The best part is that we were able to score tickets for only $9 through StubHub, just about 2 hours before showtime. Also, you may not realize that seeing a current movie is much cheaper in Puerto Rico. Movies from the US usually run in English with Spanish subtitles. Movie tickets are still around $8 for adults, and they have state-of-the-art movie houses with all the bells and whistles you could wish for. The fine art cinemas even have great food and an area for dining before or after the movie. If you're interested in something more traditional, you can even find Flamenco Shows in Old San Juan. This was at Triana Tapas y Flamenco restaurant, which has shows every weekend. And for those of you who are lovers of beautiful modern architecture in outdoor spaces, don't forget to check out the popular center in the heart of the financial district in Rey. It has a beautiful rooftop terrace with a lot of lush planters, fountains, ponds, and vertical gardens. Don't forget to check out the bridge, with the vertical garden on one side and views of the street below on the other side. Once you cross the bridge, you'll find beautiful terrace outdoor areas with sculptures, waterfalls, and a view of a glass-fronted restaurant across. If you're a museum lover, don't forget to check out the Museo de Las Americas in the Cuartel de Valleja in Old San Juan. This museum offers 3 permanent collections as well as temporary exhibitions, all emphasizing the conservation and promotion of the cultural heritage of Puerto Rico and the Americas. The museum's permanent exhibitions are folk arts in the Americas, our African heritage, and conquest and colonization. LaCasablanca in Old San Juan is Old San Juan's oldest residence. Constructed in 1521, it served as the initial fortification for the San Juan islet and was intended to be the residence of Juan Ponce de León and his family. However, de León passed away during an expedition to Florida without ever residing in the house. Subsequently, it sheltered his descendants until the mid-18th century. When the capital transitioned to the San Juan islet in 1521, Casablanca became the first governor's residence in Puerto Rico. Despite undergoing numerous refurbishments over 5 centuries, it remained the governor's residence until the mid-1700s. In addition to the house, don't forget to check out the gardens, which even though not at their full splendor, still conserve a bit of their old-world charm and nostalgia. And lastly, my 20th hidden gem is in actuality multiple gems, as good food in Puerto Rico is not hard to find. I like to think you can go anywhere in Puerto Rico, from the modest, hole-in-the-wall to the fanciest of restaurants, and find delicious food that may surprise you for its simple ingredients, its complex flavors, and its great balance. These are just some of my favorite places we got to try during this trip. And there you have it, my top 20 hidden gems, at least for right now. I'm sure next time I go back home, I'll come up with a brand new list of new hidden gems I did not know about. That is what is great about playing tourist in your own home. There's always new things to discover. And with these, I leave you. I've been feeling pretty discouraged lately, and I've been considering quitting my channel due to low subscription and views. At this point, I'm not sure when I'll be posting more videos, if at all, or if I will just do very occasional videos. Sometimes the effort doesn't seem worth it based on what I get back from it. So, if you have any thoughts on this, please feel free to comment below. If not, have a good one.